How's everybody doing tonight? I see Elizabeth, Stephanie, how are you doing? I wanted to do it that way, kind of open up the camera and have it rolling. I feel so old saying it rolling, that's funny. Because I know oftentimes I start this and people don't get in for a couple minutes and they may miss the first couple things. Whereas when I open it up, it says I'm live, then people get in and they don't miss things at the beginning. So welcome. It's December 6th, 2017. I hope everybody's having a great week. I've not done any of my Christmas shopping yet. I'll probably get that done about December 20th. Hello, Dorothy. How are you doing? And Stephanie and Elizabeth. So I'm going to get the Christmas shopping done probably. Won't be for a couple more weeks or something like that. But it was a beautiful day here in Madeira Beach. I've got a lot to go over tonight. A lot of things happening with Unfound. Even just today, the news that will be mentioned here but won't be mentioned on Friday's podcast. I'm going to talk about a little bit of that tonight. So you all know about it. That's what you get for tuning in on a Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. So I appreciate that. You deserve to find out some things that maybe other people aren't going to find out about. Maybe for a little while longer. So I got another X-Files shirt. Some of you may remember that like the last week or the week before, I cleaned out some of my drawers and took a lot of clothes to Goodwill. And may I say, if Elizabeth, Stephanie, Dorothy, anybody else who's in there, if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer tonight, I don't have any questions on the agenda. So if you have any questions you'd like me to answer tonight about the show, about myself, anything, we could do that. Kelly, how are you doing? Kelly from Western Pennsylvania, welcome. But this is another shirt I found at the bottom of one of my drawers. It's another X-Files shirt. That just shows you how big of a fan I was of the show. This shirt is over here. That's funny. Is from the movie, the first X-Files movie, Fight the Future. Remember that came out in 1999? I was my second summer in Las Vegas. I remember it like it was yesterday, going to see this movie when I lived in Las Vegas. Movie was okay, not great, but you'll see it also has like a picture on the back. You can see it. Can you see it there? Right there, Fight the Future. And Jill, welcome tonight. Jem, how are you all doing tonight? Good to see you. So that's the shirt I'm wearing, another X-Files shirt. I think it was 2 weeks ago, I think, that I wore an X-Files shirt, and now I'm wearing another one. I should say, what was it, about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, one of the listeners sent me a shirt that I wore. It was for the St. Petersburg Grand Prix. If you have a shirt that you'd like me to wear on this show, please send it to me. I can give you the address offline, and then I'll wear it during the program, whether it's for your high school team or whatever it may be. As long as it's PG and it's not of a sports team that I don't root for, I will wear it. And Shannon and Andrea, how are you all doing tonight? Good. We got some Angela. I think those shirts were free. Oh, are you talking about this shirt, this Fight the Future shirt? You may be, Angela, you may be right. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. And Jem, just a large. I don't know. Angela, I don't remember how I got this shirt. That brings up a good point. How did I get this shirt? I don't remember. Okay. These were free. Well, hopefully that doesn't show how cheap I am. I didn't even know that. Okay. Kara, welcome tonight. How are you doing? So I'm wearing this shirt. I wear a large. Anybody wants to send me a shirt that you'd like me to wear on the program, it's already happened once. Send it to me. I'll wear it. We'll talk about it. I'm going to go to the news first tonight because the news hits Unfound very close to home. First of all, I want to talk about what has been going on in Delmar, New York, the last couple days. Delmar, New York. It's right outside Albany. And of course, if you're a fan of the show and have been listening for a while, you know that Albany, New York is where Suzanne Lowell disappeared in 1998. And remains were found about 3 miles, even though it's not in Albany address. This site, Delmar, New York, is only about 3 miles from where she disappeared. If we're to believe that she was abducted getting off the bus on the campus of the University of Albany, it was about 3 miles away. The remains are not Suzanne Lau. It is a woman, but it is an older woman who I read disappeared just like in September. And in fact, I don't even think anybody had filed a missing persons report on her. It's a little sad. So she was found behind a car wash on a hillside. I don't know if it was some woods or out in a field, but it was very close to where Suzanne Lau was, but it is not Suzanne Lau. And I have to tell you, just the circumstances of how the remains were found kind of left me to believe it probably was not Suzanne. Just for the reason that if we're to suspect that Suzanne somebody did something to her, and we have all sorts of suspects, of course. I don't think that she would be, after almost 20 years, I don't think that she would be found on the surface of the ground. Let's just put it that way. But I did not catch the woman's name, who disappeared, who was found. I'll try to get that to you. I think it's out there now, although I'm not sure about that. So, Kara, you're okay? Kids are asleep, so that's always good. Okay, right. And yes, Suzanne Lau, I've followed closely, as my husband is a Linux engineer, and I know exactly what you mean by that, Kara. I know exactly, yes. I know what you're saying there. So that disappearance, the disappearance of Suzanne Lau came to my mind when I heard about this, the remains being found. But if you didn't know, Delmar is just outside of Albany. And once again, it is not Suzanne Lau. It was a woman who disappeared within the last few months. So there you go. Hello, Diane. How are you doing tonight? Good. Happy to see you here. Really happy to see you joining us tonight. Of course, now the other news even hits probably closer. Dorothy, and I'm going to answer your question here in a little bit after I finish this news story. There is a dig going on. They have machines out in a field in Missouri right now. If I posted this, I know it's been posted on Teresa Butler's Facebook page, and I've been talking to Amy Lacey today. I talked to her for a little bit. She was my guest for the Teresa Butler episode, which I think was like the 3rd or 4th or 5th episode we did this year, going way back, I think, to February this year. She disappeared from Risco, Missouri, over 10 years ago. And to my knowledge, this is the first digging that has gone on near where she disappeared. And it's much different than the Suzanne Lau case, because if you looked up Suzanne Lau's disappearance and what is going on in Delmar, there are plenty of people who disappeared in Albany. And in fact, the remains that were found in Delmar could have been like 10 different people who have disappeared in that area over the last couple decades. Whereas this dig that's going on in Missouri, if they're looking for a person, there isn't anybody else besides Teresa Butler who disappeared in the area where they're digging. So I don't know. Of course, as we know, there's been plenty of, in all sorts of cases we've covered on Unfound, that digging happens. They go search somewhere. They get the shovels out. They get the backhoes out. They get the dogs out, and they find nothing. So we have to keep that in mind. Them digging doesn't necessarily mean anything. But I think that what we can infer from this, given where it's being done and that no other people have disappeared in that area, at least who have been reported, we have to rely on missing persons reports for that, there's a very good chance that they are looking for Teresa Butler at that location. It's about 5 miles from where she disappeared from her home. So we'll see if they find anything, and I'll keep you posted. I'm sure now that you know about this, all of you will be following it as well. You could just do a search for Missouri and remains or digging or something like that. And once again, you can go to the Teresa Butler Facebook page and find out, I think, the latest information there. I think Amy is the one that runs that page. So you can find out a lot of information there if you're interested in following it. I know it's in the regular news, but if you want to go to the Facebook page and talk to other people about it and what they think might be going on, that's probably the best place to do it, is going to the Teresa Butler Facebook page. I don't know. Right now, I'll be honest with all, I don't know any more than any of you do. I'm not withholding anything. There's no secrets involved or anything like this. I'm just reading the news like you are, or if you've seen it at this point. So I don't know any more than that, but my suspicion says it's probably regarding Teresa, once again, just from the location, it being different than the Delmar situation where several people disappeared in the area where the remains were found. Whereas with this digging, Teresa's the only one that's disappeared in that area. So unless there was a murder that happened somewhere else, a for sure murder that happened, and some guy got shot and he was taken out there and buried, I guess that's possible. We just never know. But both of those news stories hit very close to home for me. For any of you who have been listening to the show and were listening from the beginning when I covered Suzanne Lyle's case, and then later when I covered Teresa Butler, Suzanne Lyle's disappearance, and now Teresa Butler's disappearance. So there you go. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned those two stories. And so those are my two news items for this week. They just coincidentally have something to do with Unfound. Hello, Becca. How are you doing? How are you doing? Dorothy asked me, are you going to have any previous guests come back and give us any, I'm guessing she means any updates? I would love to hear more from Megan and the Charlie Project. She had spoken of hiring a helper, also the private eye or any other private eyes, also maybe some dog handlers. It's funny you should mention that, because this week on Friday's show, we are having our first comeback. We are having our first person who appeared before, and that would be Anthony from crimeblogger1983.blogspot.com. He joined us first in August when we covered the disappearance of Tammy Leppert, and he has been helping me with behind the scenes, helping me find some guests, and I thought it was about time that I had him back on the show, because the Evelyn Hartley case was one I wanted to do. I think that it's a very old case. It's certainly a worthy case for being on Unfound, and who knows what we can dig up after all these years. Anthony has done a great job covering it, and has a lot of good information at his site, so I wanted to have him come back on and talk about that. And in addition, because I'm all about learning things from these cases, not just helping these people find their loved ones, but what can we as the public learn about disappearances. It's a good teachable case too, to look at the, and I'm going to talk about that case. Of course, I preview every case when I do this. There's a lot of elements that we can use from that disappearance, and maybe look at other disappearances that have happened and try to learn new things, maybe take us in some new directions on other cases that have been covered on Unfound and ones that we haven't covered yet. So I think Evelyn Hartley's case, not just from the standpoint of wanting to solve it, but what can we learn from it, even though it's been 64 years since she disappeared. Happy holidays to you too, Becca. So yes, I am having a guest back, and it's going to coincidentally be in 2 days. We've already done the interview, and I'd love to hear more from Megan. I could have Megan back on in 2018. Absolutely. I have no problem with that. I'm hoping to get her to write the foreword to one of my next books, or the volumes, volume 3, maybe volume 4. I'd love for her to write the foreword to it. So maybe we could have her for an interview when she's doing that. Maybe something like that's an idea. Any private eyes? If private eyes are concerning a case or something like I did with Kevin Ryan, sure, we could do that. I have talked to a private investigator recently about a case, but that he would not be the guy that I would have on to as the guest anyway in the episode. And frankly, that case, I can't say what it is, has kind of been put on the back burner for now, just to be honest. So if the timing is right, everything is right, of course, I'd love to have a private on about a case. So, I'd love to make that happen. It just depends on the situation. So I hope that answers. As far as dog handlers, we're going to be talking about dog handlers. We're not talking about a dog handler, but next to Friday's case. So December 15th's case, we're talking a little bit about dogs and tracking and things like that, at least a little bit. So that's, I think, the closest I'm going to get for now regarding that, Dorothy. Cheryl, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. Kara says, a possible case suggestion, Angela Hammond from Missouri. It was a case featured on Unsolved Mysteries years ago, and I've always done Google searches for updates. I'll put her on the list, Kara. No problem. I'll put it on the list. I promise you that. Business stuff. Of course, we got the cards. Have any of you ordered any of the playing cards yet? Here we go. I always show. Remember Chris Turner? We covered that case. Here he is from Las Vegas. I still talk to his mother, Dawn, once in a while. He's the 5 of Hearts. So you want to check that out. You can go makeplayingcards.com to find Unfound's cards there. How do I do this? There you go. Who else? Hello, Stan and Angie. How are you doing tonight? And there's Jeff Joseph. Of course, the guest for that episode was his sister, Vicky, who haven't talked to her in a while. Have to catch up with her. I hope she's doing well. He disappeared, as you can see there, in 2014 in California. And Carly, welcome tonight. Aaron Gilbert, of course, her sister, was the guest back at I think that was the end of July. And who else do we have here? Shane Fell, you see him right here. So everybody's on here. And you should check these cards out. They're very high quality. I mean, I think I said this a couple times now. Unfortunately, they're a little more, they have to be a little more expensive than I thought, but they are really high quality. I mean, you could easily just walk right into a casino in Las Vegas and these cards would be just the same quality. Absolutely true. And being from Las Vegas, I know about that firsthand. So you can check those out at makeplayingcards.com. Just do a search for Unfound on there. And then I finally get to do this. Here's a printed copy of the book. I haven't had any because I got the first batch in and sold them and shipped them to people for various reasons. And now I got the second batch in and it's almost gone. So you can go to Amazon.com and order one directly from them. Or you can arrange for me to sign one of these. They're $11 plus shipping, so it ends up being less than $14 in the United States. I will put a special message on the inside personally to you and ship it to you. So I have them now. They look great. I have to tell you, first time I got one of these and finally got them, my batch, I was so impressed. I was like, who made these things? And I was like, oh yeah, I designed them. So please check them out. Looking good. And of course you can get the ebook if you don't want to kill any trees, you can get the ebook if you have a Kindle or an iPhone or whatever else. You can get that on Amazon as well for $2.99. And these are $10.99 on Amazon, $11 essentially, that you can either order them from me or get them from Amazon.com. So there you go. Let's get those couple things out of the way. Dee Dee, what's one case you would have loved to have covered but couldn't find anyone to interview? That's a lot. Dee Dee, I wouldn't even know where to start with that answer, unfortunately, many. I think that myself and the people who find me cases cannot even begin to tell you the cases that we try to find somebody on and can't find anybody for whatever reason, variety of reasons. In addition, I want to cover every case. I mean, I don't have any special cases. That's not how I think. But there are many cases where we just don't get any responses back. So, and they're ones that I think we can help on every one. I think Unfound can help on every case out there. But if people don't respond, then I can't do much. So that's a tough question to answer, Dee Dee. I'm sorry about that. I can't be more specific than that. Cheryl, hello. Oh, Sherelle. Okay, Sherelle. Okay. You got it, Sherelle. No problem. Sherelle. Accent on the second syllable. Gotcha. Okay. And Stephanie, she's in. You can see her here. She's stoked about her book. Yeah, Stephanie got her copy signed by me, I'm guessing a couple days ago, Stephanie, and she liked it very much. Stephanie also cannot. You see this logo right here? Stephanie was mainly responsible for getting that logo done. I cannot thank her enough. She's also done some transcribing for the books as well. She did a great job of there. I can't even begin to tell you how much she has helped. And then Amy is on here, Amy Lacey. Amy, if you don't know, I was just talking about Teresa. And I was just telling them that to go to the Facebook page, your Facebook page, the one you run for Teresa on Facebook, and for the latest updates on what's going on there. So I hope that also you'll come to the Unfound podcast discussion group while you're at it, and keep us updated as well. All right. So Amy is in the group, everyone. So she was my guest for the Teresa Butler episode. Amy, a very, very good friend of Teresa's. And Amy, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be keeping our eyes and ears open as they continue working there in Missouri. Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are dying inside, wondering what's going on out there. I completely understand that. I do. Angela, you say your friend has a missing mother. Said she's going to contact me. Great. I look forward to it. And Carly, I thank you for a great thing that I'm doing. I appreciate that. Thank you. Just a couple more things that I want to get into. Some news that you need to hear about. Some exciting stuff. The triblive.com is going on now. That was the big secret that I couldn't tell for like a month. It's up and running. You should go to triblive.com/news/unfound. I've posted it on Facebook and other places. They're doing such a great job with that page. It really looks good. It really does. I'm so thankful. It's going to continue to be updated. We're going to have to get, I think, social media buttons in there and some other things so people can find Twitter and Instagram, the rest of it. But they are doing such a great job. It looks great. I mean, the pictures, the write-ups, the logo. I just cannot be more excited of being joined up with them. So it's looking so good so far. Joelle, how are you doing tonight? Also regarding Trib Live is that, I've put together the Pennsylvania cases that I hope to cover with them. And the area that we are trying to cover is south of I-80. You can go to a map afterwards. South of I-80 in Pennsylvania and west of State College. So it's about a third of the territory of Pennsylvania. 85 cases in that area. And Unfound has already covered one of them, Donnie Smatlack. So we got a lot of cases to look at, and I'm really looking forward to working with them. We're going to try to do one a month starting in January. I had a meeting with them this week. Can't say everything that happened there. But we're going to try to do one a week or one a month. And I'm looking forward to that, working with them, still have some of the details to work out, but I think it's going to be great. And it was just so good to be have the meeting with them on the phone. And I'm going to continue to say this. I could not be more pleased that I'm on their site and everything else. It's just really exciting for me. So I think that's going to go real well. Something else that's going on that I just happened to find out a couple hours ago is that Unfound is going to be on Spotify. Maybe you've heard me mention a few times that I've been rejected by Spotify. I've said, because you can independently as a podcaster send your information in and they'll tell you if you're accepted or not. I have no idea what the criteria is. No idea. If I knew, I'd tell you. I don't know. So I've been working on that for about 6 months. Well, what happened was that now that TribLive.com is carrying the program, there was a little glitch that was going on last Friday, I think it was. And no real big deal, but for the first time, I called my podcast hosting site, which is Podomatic. If you're familiar with any of this, if you're familiar with most of the other true crime podcasts, you know that like Libsyn or Blueberry, some of these other companies are more popular. I think I'm, in fact, the only true crime podcast that's on Podomatic. Well, for the first time, I called them for help, and I can't even begin to tell you how helpful they were. They were on it within minutes. I talked to Sloan at Podomatic, had him on the phone. Nice guy. I think that he and somebody at Trib Live, I think this is what happened, got together and figured out what was going on, and now everything works great. I think that's the reason the pictures and the write-ups and everything are on there now, and they look so good. So I have all the praise in the world for Podomatic, and I've been with them for a while. So I want to send them a shout-out. But it was also Podomatic that because of this, when they found out that I was being carried, or Unfound was being carried by a news organization, a real honest-to-goodness news organization affiliated with Associated Press and all that, the people at Podomatic submitted Unfound to Spotify and got it approved. So I need to give, once again, a huge shout out for making that happen. Okay, that's and it also helps that I'm a Spotify subscriber for $10 a month. So I don't think it's on there yet. I think it's going to take a couple days. But Unfound will be on Spotify, I'm guessing, within the next week. And I want to give a shout out to Podomatic for making that happen. Anybody else that submit some questions for me? I'm just going to go through my list. I always have a list of stuff to talk about. So if you'd like me to answer any questions or anything like that, please type them down there in the comments section, and we'll get to them and we'll have a conversation. And, of course, like I said, Amy is on there. If you'd like to ask her any questions about Teresa's, anything about Teresa and what's going on there, feel free to do that as well. Will this be on, Carly, will this be on your podcast or be on a separate one or just the website? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Carly. Will this be on your podcast or be on a separate one? Carly, I think you're probably going to have to be a little more specific. I apologize that I'm not sure what you mean there. I want to answer your question. You're just probably going to have to reword it. Stephanie, what is Spotify? Spotify is a music app service that you would find. It's like iTunes or something like that. It's a site where you can pay a subscription every month, and you can download and listen to about any music that you want. But like iTunes, they also have like books on tape. Me showing my age again, and they also have podcasts there and everything else. Barb, welcome tonight. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. So that's what it is. Spotify is a music entertainment app that you can get for your phone. You can also get it for your computer. I have it on my laptop, I have it on my Mac, and I have it on my phone, and that's the main way I listen to music. So you can look that up. So what happened was Podomatic submitted the RSS feed for Unfound to Spotify, and they accepted it, and I found that out this evening. And it's a big deal because Spotify is probably, it's like Pandora. I don't know which one's more popular. I'm more of a Spotify guy, but it's pretty popular. So there you go. Once again, Carly, if you want to reword that, will this be on your podcast or be on a separate one or just the website? Once again, I'm not sure what you mean. I want to make sure that I answer your question absolutely correctly, Carly. The next thing, and this is something that I can't talk too much about. I can't mention any names. Once again, this is what you get. This is what, for all of you people who've carved out a little time on a Wednesday night for me, this is why you get to hear things. I want to reward people for showing up. Let's put it this way. And so then you can go, I'll tell everybody, well, I'm going to find out some things that he didn't mention on the podcast, but it's mainly news stuff, news stuff. The other news is that once again, I can't mention any names and nothing may come of this. I just want you to know, this is how things work. A few weeks ago, I was emailed by a TV producer, not technically a TV producer, but a guy who goes out and looks for ideas, intellectual properties, things like that to turn into TV shows. He emailed me, and no, there will be no pop quiz, Stephanie. No quizzes. Just like School of Rock, the movie School of Rock. I don't believe in tests. But he approached me, and what happened was he's in L.A., and I had a friend of mine, a woman who I trust. I've known her for like 17 years. She's a friend of mine. She's been in TV production for a while. She went down and met him. And then today I had a phone conversation with him as well. And once again, I can't tell you his name or the name of his company or anything like that. And like I said, he may be talking to many true crime podcasts out there. I have no idea. I really have no idea. But I just want to let you know of some of the things that are going on, and nothing may come of this. It may be a year from now and nothing's happened. That's just the way entertainment works. There are all sorts of ideas and screenplays and teleplays and all sorts of entertainment ideas that never get done. But I had a good conversation with him today. But it would be not like a disappeared show, but for a fictional show. A fictional missing person show. But I want to promise you all something. And I told this guy, who was a really good guy, had a great conversation with him. I think he's a really good guy. I think he knows what he's doing. I have no reason to think but the best things about him. But I was very honest with him that if I'm going to be involved in any sort of fictional TV series, then it's going to have to be realistic about what actually goes on with missing persons. About, it's not going to be some whiz-bang thing like Criminal Minds. And I even watched a couple reruns of Without a Trace because that was a missing persons program. I couldn't do those shows because I don't think they're honest. I don't think they're based in reality. If you've all been listening to Unfound for a year, you know what the truth is regarding missing persons in the United States. You know. And any program that I would be a part of regarding missing persons cases and any missing persons unit is not going to be like those shows because it's just not realistic. A show that I would be involved in has to show the struggles that families go through and maybe police blowing them off and all the things that you hear about virtually on every episode of Unfound. I think that you could still make a really good dramatic show and tell it honestly. But those shows, I couldn't, even though those shows are popular that I mentioned, I couldn't be involved in something like that because they aren't realistic, So I told him that. I told him, I'm not going to tell you what I can do. I said, I'm going to tell you what I can't do because I feel like I represent that when you're approaching me, I feel like I'm representing the entire missing persons community. All right, I'm their representative for the hundreds of thousands of people who've been affected by disappearances in the United States, going back to the founding of these states and all the other countries for that matter. That's the way I feel. And so if you're going to do something, I have to be in something that has credibility, that's honest, that has integrity, and is a true indication of what goes on. All right? So I want to promise you all that. And I will not be involved in anything that is not like that. All right? So, but we had a great conversation. And I still think within that framework, I can think of a lot of great things that we can do to raise awareness in a fictional, using fiction instead of nonfiction like Disappeared. But using the medium of fiction, whether it's on TV, or regular TV or Netflix or any of these, Roku or whatever they are, I think that you can do that and have a great show, be popular, but be honest and have integrity at the same time. I really believe that. And that's what I'm going to work toward. And I'm going to say it again. If this key or any other company that's involved or whoever else wants to go in any direction besides that, I'm not going to be involved. Period. Just not. All right? I'm not going to be part of, like, Without a Trace. I watched that show. It's not truthful. It's not what goes on in missing persons cases in the United States. It's a complete fabrication. It was popular. People watched it. But I would never feel good being a representative of the missing persons community, being involved with a show like that. Okay? So there you go. But we're going to see. Maybe we'll get together in beginning of 2018. We'll talk again. And once again, nothing may come of this. But I just want to let all of you know what my standard is, because I think more of these opportunities are going to be coming my way and coming Unfound's way. And I just want you to know that what my criteria is to being involved. If it's nonfiction stuff like a disappeared show, that's a lot easier to imagine. But with a fiction show, you know how Hollywood likes to take liberties. And I realize that there is some artistic license that goes on. I mean, Top Gun wasn't 100% true. Schindler's List wasn't 100% true. Life is Beautiful wasn't 100% true. Patton wasn't 100% true. But I think they all still represented what actually goes on the right way. So that's the kind of project that I want to be a part of. And I want Unfound to be a part of. So just so if there's any question about that, you can go reference this video once it's up on YouTube to know what my standard is. I just wanted you to know all about that. Okay, Carly, I'm sorry. I was asking about the cases that you said where you were doing in Pennsylvania. Will they be on your podcast or will it be something separate? Carly, that's a great question. Thank you. I should have mentioned that. No, I'm glad you asked me that. These are going, the cases that I will work on with triblive.com will be exclusive to triblive.com. They will not be cases that I will have a guest on, a family member on to talk about. No, I will continue to work nationally, if not internationally, with the program, with Unfound, still every Friday. But then I will also be working with them to find family members in Pennsylvania. I'm not there. I don't live there. I live in Florida. But find people. I'll talk to them. Their reporter, Raiders will talk to them. And then once a month, they will do a huge feature, much like Unfound does, on that disappearance in Pennsylvania. And I'll surely let you know when that happens. What I will say is the closest we will get to that, Carly, is my plan is the couple days before the article comes out. I'm guessing it's going to come out probably on Sundays, maybe. Maybe we just haven't worked that all out yet. All I know is this. Shortly before the episode comes out, I would like to have, we haven't, once again, this is kind of up in the air. I would like to have the reporter on, and we'll talk about the case. And, 10, 15 minutes, and that will become a podcast, and you all know what to look for. And when it comes out, of course, I'll post the link, and you all be going to triblive.com to read the extensive article about that disappearance in Pennsylvania. But no, I'm not going to have a family member on the program. But what I want you to know is that they are all excited about this. Trib Live, Trib Total Media, which is the company's name, is a great company, a lot of great people. Granted, it's just a Pittsburgh thing, so if you're in California, they don't carry much news that would be relevant to you, but they're going to start to. And it's going to be with these missing persons cases that I want to work with them on. So, but no, these would not be cases that are getting covered on the program, on Unfound. These will be exclusive to them, and I'll be working with them in as much a capacity as as we can. Just a little tough being that I live in Florida. So, do I have anything else going on? Any other business stuff? Unfoundpodcast.com. Have all of you, I'm seeing your Stephanie, Carly, Teresa, Diane, Dorothy, have you all checked out the secret episode? I know Stephanie has. We've talked about it. But some of you, you should go to unfoundpodcast.com and use your email address to sign up and download the secret Stephen Kocher episode. Love for you to do that. Didn't mention that. And need to mention Patreon. Once again, kind of gets lost in the shuffle these days, but I'd love for you to contribute. $2 a month. Unfound is on Patreon. Also have PayPal. I have a PayPal account if you'd like to contribute to the program that way. Some people have done that, and I can give you out the email address privately for that. And, of course, Unfound is on Instagram. I don't talk about that account, but I post pictures there every day regarding cases, the case of that week. For example, this week is Evelyn Hartley, posting pictures of her and her family and some of the things that I think are relevant to that case. So a lot of stuff, as you can tell, a lot of stuff going on. I'm a busy guy. Last couple days I've been on the phone crazy amount of time talking to people. In addition to putting together this week's episode and talking to this guy in LA about a TV issue. I had a meeting with Trib Live on Monday. So, a lot of things are going on. I'm a busy guy, is what I'm saying. Okay. Any other questions? Please, as we continue, because next I'm going to get into this week's case. That's going to be the disappearance of Evelyn Hartley. She disappeared on October 24th, 1953. The guest for this episode is going to be Anthony from crimeblogger1983.blogspot.com. In fact, I posted a link to the articles, everything that he's done on the case. If you'll remember, he was my guest for the Tammy Leppert case going back to August, so he will be my first repeat guest. He is a guy, not only has he been on the show before, but he is one of those people that I mentioned who helps me behind the scenes trying to, for example, Deanna Riley, the daughter of Lucinda Hewells, Deanna showed up on Unfound because of Anthony. He made that happen. So he is a guy who does a great job on his blog, has been very helpful to this program. I like the work that he's doing over there. He's very thorough, like I like to be. And so I thought Evelyn Hartley, he did the art. He wanted to do, frankly, just to be honest, he wanted to talk about Evelyn Hartley. And I said that, you know what, sure, we'll get you in before the end of the year. And so we're doing it this week. And I'm happy to have him on. I think it's the interview's already been conducted. And I think you're going to find out some things about that case that you don't know, even though I know it's out there and it has been covered by, I guess, a few other programs, but I think that Anthony and I have a great conversation about that disappearance. Now, the title of the episode is called The Shadow of Coincidence. I know it's such a, like a mysterious title or whatever, but the big deal, I think, with the Evelyn Hartley case, and I'll be interested to see what all of you think, is trying to figure out, was she made to disappear because of a plan, or was she just in the wrong place at the wrong time? Because some of the facts are that this is the first time she ever babysat for this family. Her parents knew the Rasmussens. Her parents, the Hartleys, knew the Rasmussens where Evelyn babysat, but she had never babysat them before, and had never done that before. And just so happens the first evening, it was a Friday, that she babysat for them is when she disappeared. The regular babysitter had made plans to go to a homecoming football game, and that's why Evelyn ended up being there. So, did somebody think that the other babysitter was there and was targeting her and went in there and it turned out it was Evelyn instead? Was Evelyn the one targeted, or was it a burglary gone bad? And I think that there are facts in this case that point in a variety of directions. But in the bigger picture, outside of Evelyn's disappearance is I find I think all of you are the same way. A lot of these cases come down to, did this person disappear because of bad luck, or was it planned? Did somebody do something to this person because they were stalking this person or something, or did this person, man or woman, run into the wrong person at the wrong time? I'll give you probably the best example of all, and I can talk about it because it's a case I don't believe I'm ever going to cover on Unfound, and that is the disappearance of Mara Murray. As you know, a lot of conjecture around that case, and I don't want to get into the middle of it. But there are people who believe that she disappeared due to something planned, whether it was she was running away from her life, or she had some boyfriend that she was going to meet, or something like that. Or was it that she wrecked on that road, the bus driver came by, he went over to his house to call, and during that time, somebody pulled up, convinced her to get in the car, and drove off and caused her to disappear. So it was like a coincidence. A wrong person came along at the wrong time. Or was it something planned? Well, Mara Murray's case is not the only one. I mean, we have several on Unfound that are the same way. Was it a coincidence that something happened, or was it something planned? Did Evelyn disappear because she was targeted, so it was a plan, or did she just happen to babysit at the Rasmussens on the wrong night? And as always, I will leave you, the listeners, to make that assessment, given what we talk about, what Anthony and I talk about. And I'll be interested to hear what you think. You are the ultimate deciders, judges on the program. As you know, I don't theorize a lot on the program. I do some theorizing at the blog over at Patreon, but within the context of the show, which is the main, of course, Unfound is a podcast first and foremost. In that context, I don't do a lot of theorizing. I want to leave it up to you. I just present the facts to you, and then afterwards, I give you a couple things that popped out to me, and then it's up to you, the public, to decide what happened, and then get more interested, if you will, digging even deeper. So it's called the shadow of coincidence, because I just wonder if this was the shadow of coincidence hanging over Evelyn that night, or was it something else? The house was broken into, her glasses were broken, her textbooks were all over the place. There was some blood on the inside and the outside of the house that was shown to be Evelyn's blood type. But the neighbors, for the most part, neither saw nor heard anything. So it's a case. It's still unsolved. It's 64 years old, so we're going to break the record for the oldest case on Unfound this week. I think the current record is Donna Mikalenko, which I covered back in April or May when I had Dr. Eric Grabowski on. So this is going to break that record. We're going to go back to 1953, a totally different time in the United States. And but even so, I wonder if this same exact case happened in 2017, would it still be solved? Would it still be unsolved, or would it be solved? I don't know. You have to figure in emails, and you have cell phones and video cameras, and all those things would probably be factored in to an Evelyn Hartley type of disappearance today. Of course, back in 1953, nothing. In fact, Anthony tells me there weren't even street lights on the street where Evelyn disappeared. So the shadow of coincidence, the disappearance of Evelyn Hartley this week. Anything else? We've been going here for a while, 50 minutes. Look at that. Any questions? Any more questions? Love to take any more questions for any of you. We can wait here for a little bit. You should know that the interview for next week's case has already been done. And what's going to be interesting about next week's case, and I'm not going to quite give you a name, I want you all focused on Evelyn Hartley right now, is the disappearance case that I'm going to cover next week isn't on Charlie Project, isn't even in the NamUs database. How about that? And we're going to cover it. You know that how much I I love doing this program. I think I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. I love talking to these people and everything, but there's something in my heart specifically for those cases that aren't well known, that aren't on the beaten path. And when you get to the point that one isn't on Charlie Project and isn't on the NamUs site either, that really strikes me as something that's the kind of case to me that needs more attention. And that's what we're going to be doing on next week's episode for December 15th. But for this week, we are covering the disappearance of a 15-year-old girl who on a Friday night was staying at home babysitting a friend of the family's 20-month-old. And you should know the 20-month-old was not harmed in any way during her disappearance, during Evelyn's disappearance. She was doing the right thing, helping out a family friend on a Friday night when most kids were going to the homecoming game, and she disappeared. And maybe we can move the case forward a little bit more here in 2017, almost 2018. So no more questions, anybody? If not, I'm going to sign off. I want to make sure I always try to figure out how to slide up. Don't know how to scroll up on this thing. I should be able to scroll, but I don't see it. So if I missed any questions, I apologize. I usually go through it afterwards, and in fact, Teresa, who I see here, she says she's learning so much. Teresa asked me a bunch of questions that I missed last week, and Teresa, I hope that you saw. I finally emailed you when I saw those questions and emailed you with the answers. I hope that satisfied your curiosity, and I apologize missing them last week. So I hope I didn't miss any people's questions, but I don't know how to scroll back up the comments section. So I'm going to go. It's been a pleasure talking to you tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I enjoyed doing this for you. I hope this gives you a three-dimensional, four-dimensional, five-dimensional look at Unfound, what goes on behind the scenes, some of the exciting things are going on, and, of course, hearing about the case for this week. And I will try to keep you informed with anything that's going on with Teresa Butler's case, if they do find anything out there. And I'm going to sign off now. And I'm Ed Densel, and you've been watching and listening to Unfound's Facebook Live show. Good night, everyone.